Hello, my fellow musers, friends, and guests. Welcome to the Musing Show. I'm your host, Tanya D., holistic shamedium, and thanks as always for joining me. So as I continue down the path of sharing tips for living healthy, younger, and even longer, guess what tip number 11 is? Creating an attitude of life mastery by understanding the phases of your life and developing an attitude to go with it. So the previous 9 tips, or 10 I should say, I've been using and providing just research-proven holistic tips for feeling and looking younger, longer. But along the way, even sharing what some people might call miracle kind of stories, where people in advanced ages have not only slowed down physical deterioration, but in fact, they've turned it around by embracing simple lifestyle practices that cost little or no money. So check out the Balance of Being in my corridor for natural organic resources that we all have, but are not really actually putting them to the amazing use. I'll put the link in the show notes. But in the spirit and with this final tip, let's just focus on the power of the mind and our attitude, along with how we can harness it for more uplifting, vitality-filled lives, no matter what age that you are. So tip number 7, staying hydrated, I revealed a few little known facts concerning gel-like structured water that optimizes our ability to hydrate our bodies. We discussed traditional Chinese medicine, the 5-element theory, and I pointed out most especially to emotions associated with each of the 5 15-year phases of life, in particular the 5th phase. The ancient Chinese made these along with other very intuitive and interrelated observations about human health in the body, how it's well regulated and even guided by the forces of nature, the universe that we live in harmony with and through them. So traditional Chinese medicine has chronicled as well as how it's all been proven, right? How we experience accelerated decline when we live in such a disharmonious kind of way, when the forces of nature as to create imbalance in our bodies, minds, and emotions, and so much more, left ignored. These imbalances can be a precursor to serious sickness, disease later on, and the age ranges of these 5 phases of human life based on Chinese observation of a 75-year lifespan are divided into 15-year segments. So for example, phase 1, the wood element, was determined to run from birth to age 15. Phase 2, the fire element, from age 15 to 30. And then you have the next 3 phases that are earth, metal, and water. So each of those, you add another 15 years to the previous age span, and that's how we arrive to the age of 75. But today, in our modern world, the average life expectancy in just the U.S. is a lot greater than 75 years of age, with a lot of people going into and beyond 90 or above. Even my cute little Grammy is 95. Holy wow, right? So today's children are not having to assume adult roles in adolescence, and many of them are by choice just postponing taking on mature responsibilities, right? That their counterparts of decades and centuries ago were actually forced to do. Because of all these factors, we should probably add up to 3 years to each of the 15 phases of humanity, of life. And this brings each phase running approximately 18 years. And each of these 5 phases are associated with an emotion: anger, joy, overthinking, ruminating, worry, fear. Though a lot of us might perceive just 4 of these emotions to be positive and 1 to be negative, or vice versa. All 4 emotions, in fact, serve us to survive and live and thrive quite well if they're kept in this healthy balance. So none of these should necessarily be viewed as either positive or negative, because fear, for example, when not allowed to run wild, can actually assist us to keep us protected and even safe. And joy, for example, that does not allow room for contrasting emotions can actually deprive us of opportunities to learn and grow. A life without contrast isn't really a life, right? So No person is one emotion through and through because we express ourselves as a blend of all of these major emotions. Through one or two might be more dominant than another one. So when we are in excess or lack of an emotion, that emotion is out of balance. So looking back on our lives, it's easy to see how we might have roughly lived out one of these emotions associated with a phase. So the emotion of the wood phase, birth to 15 to 18, is anger. And if you notice, children and even bursting teenagers, they actually can be really quick to anger and frustrated when things don't go their way. So it's challenging for a pure, unlimited, unabashed child to begin living in accordance with these rigors and confines of this Earth's third dimensional life. So anger is a default tendency when not in control or balanced. But it can also be a positive in a child's life, since it can help provide an adolescent boy or girl a sense of ascertaining his or her own self. So the emotion of the fire phase of life, age 15 to 18, or in between there, and then from 30 to 36, is actually joy. It's the chapter of our lives when we tend to experience more of the excitement and the blossoming or the blooming of life, the wonder of new adventures and self-discovery, and it can be really joyous. So for the earth phase of life, it's age 30 to 36 to 45 to 54. This is when we begin to become overwhelmed by life's challenges and the strains of life and family. We overthink and analyze, which causes us to feel stuck or stagnant. But on the flip side, when we focus on achieving balance, we instinctively look for ways to rise above it, and then we tend to seek out ways to improve our character and our lives. So the following metal phase, ages 45, 54 to 60 to 72, is associated with grief and worry. More mature people in this age group might notice an upswing in worry or anxiety and a frequent looking back or often regretting a lot of choices that you might have made. And this happens at the very time our society preaches to us or conditions us to believe to begin preparing for the ending of our lives. So worry is kind of a default tendency when it's not in control or balance. But when it's in balance, it simply arises from anticipating some possible negative outcomes of life. And worry becomes out of balance when one is not mindful of possibilities and potential positive outcomes. So an out of balance or in excess, this emotional tendency becomes negative, and psychologically it's detrimental. It can result in a self-destructive mindset if it's allowed to grow unchecked. In Esther Hicks' Law of Attraction, where she teaches along with that entity Abraham, where she says the majority have been programmed from their past experiences to expect physical decline, and while it's something they don't want, they are programmed to expect it, and so they're going to get what they expect. And it's not that what they expect is the reality that everyone lives, but that everyone lives the reality of what they expect. So finally, the emotion for the last water elemental phase starts around age 60 to 72 and beyond. That is fear. Now, our anxiety and worry and fear, or our anxiety and worry morphs into fear. Fear of the now, fear of the future, fear of getting sick, fear of falling, fear of not being able to survive financially, fear of dying. On the other hand, fear can be a great motivator. It pushes us to make good life decisions we might not have made otherwise. Fear is the world's default tendency, and for many, regardless of our age, fear is a dominant emotion. But at this stage of life, more than any other stage, it's important to temper our fear with wisdom acquired over many decades of living. So the emotions of these 5 phases are all very natural to our human lifespan and our awareness. But with our awareness, we can strive for emotional balance, turning the negative emotions inside out, The opposite of all of the 4 negative emotions, the fire phase joy emotion is positive, combined to create a happy, rewarding, contented life. It's our choice how we wish to live, no matter our phase of life. All the negative emotions, anger, overthinking, sadness, and fear, can be mostly, if not completely, reversed, and we truly can create a happy, confident, content, long, wonderful, amazing life by making certain lifestyle and conscious awareness choices, such as things that are calming and soothing practices that surround and fill us with life vitality, right? Like meditating daily, practicing yoga, qigong, or tai chi several times a week, regularly exercising in a way that resonates with us and that we can actually enjoy, frequently immersing ourselves out in nature, the greatest healer, and taking meditation walks, hiking, or even forest bathing, gardening, moon gazing. You know, that's what I do. Communing with nature literally all summer long under the galactic canopy. Walking barefoot on the earth as much as possible, known as earthing and grounding. Living in harmony with the 5 elements or with the 5 seasons. Tune into my Nature Series podcast for that, and be sure to visit tanyad.tv for all sorts of tips for each season to just stay in alignment with traditional Chinese medicine. Some of those tips include decorating with the colors of the seasons, eating the foods of the seasons, practicing certain exercises, and more. Eating well. If we can make quality, non-processed food choices a priority and learn what that is if we're not so sure what it means, just start going green. Visit greenskinny-girl.com and just upcycle your nutrition quotient. Take the 30-day challenge. You can make reinventing yourself, just self-care, and create exciting priorities in your life. Enjoy new body scrubs, massage oils, get a massage, musical artists, restaurants that are dedicated to healthy, delicious, amazing food in Salt Lake City. If you're friends with me on What's Up Tanya D, I share my friend Raw Topia everywhere. He has amazing food. You can upgrade the style of your wardrobe, your hairstyle. Just make it your favorite pastime, where you're slowing and deepening your breath work. Just focus on taking 6 longevity created breaths a minute, just allowing plants and flowers to share their vital force and energy with us for greater life and even vitality. Treat your skin to high quality essential oil skincare, such as the AgeLess LaCure, or any of the 5 elemental skin and body cares. Essentially, it's Feng Shui for your body and your skin. Sharing our lives with a pet who absolutely loves us, and they all do. I'd be a total hot mess without Sir Diddy. Keeping art and beauty in your lives and our homes. Don't buy something and bring it inside if it isn't beautiful and life-affirming to you. Mind methods for creating happiness in our lives. It can be done like cultivating the habit of appreciating every small or even a big thing that you love, even just a little bit. Eventually, it just becomes second nature, and you'll be smiling involuntarily, developing enriching relationships. Like, read any of my blog series on Wei Qi by typing Wei Qi in the search bar. Being in selfless service to others, where you volunteer at a local food bank, an assisted living center, a homeless shelter. Teach adults to read and write, plant trees, give of your time and your talent at your own town's art or political organization. Just continuing to create through work that you love with no goal of retirement. Maybe you're not the type to retire. I know I'm not. You don't have to retire just because others are doing it. Besides, you've developed the most contributive skills, and you know how at this point in your life to do them. You can also contemplate this quote. Studies in elderly people who have been active all their lives, such as the Lapps of Finland and Sweden, show no decline in function until the date they sell their reindeer and they sit down, or after they quickly decline to a level of other people of the same age. That was written by Mikkel Fogelholm in Physical Activity, a Part of Healthy Eating. It was a report from a Nordic seminar. Letting go. So the urgency we've been programmed to believe in and accept is not totally necessary. Someone else benefits from that, not you. Relax, slow down, savor, and enjoy. Have you noticed how many of the baby boomers and older are actually living quality lives and longer? Like these forever young people? Don't use or don't accept what commercials and mass marketing and social media, actually whatever they say about age. The whole world is built on our buying into these so-called rules and expecting us all to age. So take on a mantra of your confident, radiant self. By now, you're a master of many amazing, great, constructive things to offer the entire planet, the world. Maybe you can choose what those are and which ones you'll share with people coming up behind you. You might just end up being an example of what's truly possible. So these 5 phases, in addition to emotion, each phase is associated with a skin condition, an organ, a color, a smell, taste, a personality, a wind direction, and so much more. So if you feel or are called to upcycle your skin regime or even curious, visit the shop. Like I said, it's like Feng Shui for the body and the skin. Elemental skincare based on the seasons. It's really like magic in all actuality. And if you are ready to upcycle your NQ or your nutrition quotient with a body detox, I have a link in the show notes all about detoxing. Go to Green Skinny Girl in the show notes. I have the link there as well. And if you haven't followed me on any social media platforms, you can find me at What's Up Tanya D on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm at the Tanya D. On Twitter, I'm at Green Skinny Girl. On YouTube, and I bet that's where you're at, Tanya D. And if you haven't subscribed, please do and ring the bell. Show a girl some love. On iTunes, subscribe to my podcast, Musing with Tanya D. Season 2 is all about the elements, a view from an energetic perspective or a spiritual world. Season 3 is about the energy world, and 2020 is the subtle energy season. You can visit my corridor for well-being and healing at club.tanyad.tv, where I host my online courses and I do my divinations and my subtle energy surgery, or tanyad.tv, where I host everything all from energy-based skin and body care. It's basically feng shui for the skin. I've said that probably 10 times. Green Skinny Girl, where you can upcycle your nutrition quotient. If you're ready to transform to eating healthier and actually having more vitality, I have essential oils and so much more. Ashe.